Online game, I possess a monster merging simulator. Chapter 181, Grand Opening. In the beginning, Lorne had other plans, but now that he had a shop, he naturally would not ignore this money-making machine. It just so happened that he had a plan to repair the cold desolate dragon city. Therefore, he needed a large amount of funds recently in order to rebuild the cold desolate dragon city in the near future. Lorne first took out the antidotes he had obtained from the Alchemist Association. Then, he looked at the manager, Rona, and asked, "How do you want to price these potions?" "Yes." Rona counted the number of supplies and said, "According to the price of the antidote in Iron Skull City, it should be set at 1 silver coin. However, our shop has just opened. The price will be 50 bronze coins and we will sell 2,000 bottles. At noon, we will price it at 70 bronze coins and sell 3,000 bottles. At night, we will price it at 90 bronze coins and sell 5,000 bottles. This way, the shop can obtain enough popularity immediately." "Master, is this arrangement okay?" As expected of an epic NPC, her management plan was very reasonable. "Let's do as you think." Lorne nodded, but quickly fell into thought. If he wanted to attract the players from the NPC shops, only the antidote would work. The antidote that Lorne had obtained was only 10,000 bottles, and this was only after he had taken the initiative to ask Doge to help raise the quantity. Otherwise, there were only 5,000 bottles per day. But even with 10,000 antidotes, it could not become a mainstream commodity in the shop. He had to add more items. Lorne took out a pile of bronze and silver equipment from his bag. "You can arrange to sell these equipment as well. In addition, there are a few gold items here. You can use the auction to attract people." The antidote was only the appetizer. Equipment was the main commodity for the business in this shop, especially silver grade and gold grade equipment. These high grade equipment would definitely cause a commotion among the players. "Yes, master." Rona had a strong operational ability. She could sell the goods on her own. Of course, all her operations had to be reported to Lorne in advance. The plan could only be carried out after obtaining his approval. After arranging all of this, Lorne had to take the most important step. That was publicity. Publicity was a very necessary part. It was not enough to recruit the first batch of customers. However, this was a game. There was no need to advertise everywhere. With Lorne's own fame, he only needed to shout in the chat channel to achieve all his expectations. Soon, shouts sounded in Iron Skull City. Ding! Regional announcement, sent by Player Tyrant. The first player shop in Iron Skull City, Dragon 1, is offering a huge reward for its opening ceremony. The antidotes will cost 50 bronze coins each, and there are also a large number of silver grade and gold grade items for sale. Those who are interested, hurry up. The quantity is limited, buy it immediately. Ding! Ding! The regional announcement of Iron Skull City was very expensive. Lorne shouted 3 times before giving up. However, these 3 sentences made all the players in Iron Skull City boil. Gosh! There are player shops already. Am I playing a fake game? 50 bronze coins for an antidote? Is this true? How can what Tyrant said be false? Brothers, let's hurry up. If we're late, we won't be able to buy anything. Crazy, this is really crazy. He's even selling gold grade equipment. All the players in Iron Skull City were in an uproar. In a few minutes, the entrance of the shop Dragon 1 was filled with countless players. They had all come because of the slogan of 50 bronze coins per antidote, but after coming here, they realized that it was only selling 2,000 bottles. If they wanted to buy more, they had to wait until noon and night. Indeed, capitalists are all shrewd. After today, the price of the antidote will probably rise to a few silver coins. I know Tyrant too well. It has been proven that monopolies really harm people. We strongly request that the officials of Iron Skull City punish the immoral business practices of Tyrant. Fortunately, us solo players are not interested in the ruins of the war. Otherwise, we'll lose our minds from being exploited like this. The surrounding players cursed, especially the players who had been exploited once in the ruins of the war. At this moment, they were even tearing up in grief. In the end, they were still wrung dry in the hands of Tyrant. They were not given a chance to profit. It was too detestable. They were all indignant and protested, but in the next second, these people rushed into the shop. This was because the shop manager Rona had already begun the silver grade auction. Silver grade equipment was considered top-notch at this moment and was the standard equipment for elite players. Of course, they were not willing to miss it. Damn, this Tyrant is way ahead in the game. He can earn money like this. Spec had always thought that he should be the one doing this, but now, all of it was achieved by his enemies. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, despite his anger, he still had to buy the equipment. The silver grade equipment was an important resource for the guild to compete for the progress of the game. They had to snatch it. Inform our people to auction it now. No matter how much it costs, these high-level equipment are ours. Spec immediately issued the order. To large guilds, the early stages were the time to compete for the game's progress. Whoever had the greatest advantage would have the greatest gap in the future, which would expand infinitely until they suppressed all their opponents. Therefore, even if he had a grudge against Tyrant, he had to buy these equipment. Soon, the lackeys who squeezed into the shop received the order from above to obtain high-grade equipment. With boss's order, they naturally responded without hesitation. However, just as they piled up the price to the highest and no one wanted to snatch it anymore, suddenly, a rule appeared on the display screen in the shop. Attention! For all products in this shop, members of the World Destruction Guild and the Domination Guild will have to pay triple the price. Pfft! The underling of the World Destruction Guild, who was about to obtain the silver equipment, spat out blood. This was too obvious. Even if Tyrant wanted to take revenge, he had to hide it in front of everyone, right? How could he announce his revenge like this? The players from the World Destruction Guild cried in their hearts, and the other players at the scene laughed until their tears fell. I'm dying of laughter. Tyrant really humiliated the other party. Ha ha ha, it's their fault for making such a high offer. The World Destruction Guild is going to suffer now. The people from World Destruction are too disgusting. We should teach them a lesson. This World Destruction Guild that has hundreds of thousands of members is nothing in the eyes of Tyrant. Boss Tyrant is so awesome. Serves them right. How dare they bully us every day? The surrounding players mocked. The people from the World Destruction Guild had always been domineering. In the eyes of most players, this was the most detestable evil gang. Now that they saw the other party in trouble, they naturally did not mind adding insult to injury. Chapter 182, Ridiculous Sales. Damn it! In the headquarters of the World Destruction Guild, Spec's emotions exploded. There were hundreds of thousands of employees under the corporation, and he had always been the one who set the rules. Since when was it his turn to be stepped on by such a brat? Even in the game, the guild he led had more than 100,000 players. No one had dared to provoke him so brazenly, especially solo players. Boss, what should we do now? Crossfire gritted his teeth. That scoundrel used the advantage of the game to obtain a large amount of high-grade equipment. If we let the other guilds buy all of them, our pressure will be... Splat! Before he could finish, Spec angrily slapped him across the face. What should we do? What should we do now? Where the F*** have you been? If not for you provoking Tyrant, would we have been in such trouble? If not for the fact that you could not find out Tyrant's true identity, would we have ended up in such a passive spot? Spec was as angry as an enraged lion, and the ruthlessness of the underworld was clearly displayed at this moment. Boss! Crossfire did not dare to argue. He could only clench his teeth and swallow the blood in his mouth. Then, he said, "Boss, let's first deal with the matter at hand. Although Tyrant has set the price of 3 times that of the members of our World Destruction Guild, we can find those players without a prefix in their name and ask them to help us buy our equipment." "Yes." Speck sat down again, his face calm again, making it difficult to see what he was really thinking. Soon, a few players with the name of small guilds appeared near Dragon 1. They began to quote a price on the shop's regional channel. In Divine Realm, due to the restriction of the size of the venue, it was marked that during public auction, players could compete on the shop's chat channel. Because they did not have the prefix of the World Destruction Guild and because the offers of these lackeys were very high, they quickly obtained a few silver-grade items. With these treasures, the lackeys quickly arrived in an alley. Crossfire had been waiting here for a long time. "How is it? Did you get it?" Crossfire asked anxiously. Because of what had happened previously, he had been blamed by his boss. This time, he could not allow any problems to occur when buying equipment. Otherwise, his value in his boss's mind would completely collapse. Without this identity, he was nothing. Crossfire knew this very well, so he urgently wanted to redeem himself. One of the lackeys said, "Don't worry, Brother Crossfire, we have already obtained 4 silver-grade items. As long as he continues to auction later, we can continue to use this method to obtain the equipment." After reaching their expectations, the players of the World Destruction Guild were naturally very happy. But just as they were about to trade all their equipment to Crossfire, an accident also happened. Crossfire was about to change into a suitable silver-grade equipment for himself when a panel suddenly appeared in the next second. Ding! "This equipment cannot be used." "Gosh, what's going on?" Crossfire was stunned. When he regained his senses, he quickly checked the details of the equipment and quickly realized the reason. It turned out that these equipment had a character binding system. As long as the player bought it, the effect would be triggered. Other than the purchaser who could wear the equipment, no one else could wear it. "Tyrant! You will die a horrible death." Crossfire spat out blood. This tyrant was too detestable. In order to prevent the World Destruction Guild from obtaining the equipment, he had actually set 2 such disgusting rules. In this case, if the World Destruction Guild wanted to buy equipment from him, they would have to pay 3 times the price. This was an auction. The price sold here was the limit of the value of equipment. In the end, they still had to pay 3 times the cost. Even if they were billionaires, they could not afford to spend so much. "Big brother, what should we do now? What else can we do? We either train special players or spend 3 times the price to buy equipment. There's no other way." Helpless, Crossfire went to see his boss. Then, he was pulled into a cage by Speck and got beaten up. If not for his good physique, he would have been beaten to death. Spat. Speck spat out a mouthful of saliva, his eyes shooting out a ferocious killing intent. He said to his subordinates, "Buy them regardless of the cost. These equipment cannot fall into the hands of other guilds. In addition, mobilize all our intelligence agents to find this tyrant in real life. I want to kill him." In the shop Dragon 1, under Rona's management, the popularity of the shop reached its peak. Hundreds of bronze items were sold out, and the silver-grade auction continued for 10 rounds. There was also a gold-grade members auction at night. All players who wanted to participate had to buy a membership card from the shop, or else they would not be allowed to enter. Membership cards were also divided into levels. Those who wanted to participate in the gold-grade auction had to have a gold-grade membership card to register. If there was a platinum equipment auction in the future, only platinum members could participate, and so on. It had to be said that Rona's business idea was indeed very advanced. She knew how to differentiate customers, tie them down, and obtain the initial funds for the shop. Because there were many members, the reserve funds in the shop also increased. Rona immediately arranged for people to go to the Alchemist Association to wholesale high-level conventional potions. Although the shops relied on high-grade equipment to earn a lot of money, the most easily profitable projects in a shop were often the simplest products. For example, HP and MP potions were essential for any player. Although the price was not high, there were many benefits and sales. With the current popularity of the shop, they could still earn a large sum of income. How crazy! Lorne checked his current turnover and found that he had earned 3,947 gold coins. Among them, 600 bronze-grade items earned 3,000 gold coins. 10 silver-grade items earned 500 gold coins. 2,000 antidotes earned 10 gold coins. The remaining 437 gold coins were all from selling the HP and MP potions. The income from selling the equipment was obtained by Lorne himself from killing monsters some time ago, so it could not be used as a profit for the shop. However, the potions could directly add to the profits, which was definitely a considerable amount of income. Chapter 183, Clean Up and Wait for Me. The price of buying a level 3 HP potion from the Alchemist Association was 90 bronze coins per bottle. The selling price was 1 silver coin per bottle, which meant that Lorne could earn 10 bronze coins from each bottle. The profit ratio was 10%. In terms of total income, the final profit of the potion was 43.7 gold coins. Then, according to the highest monetary value of the gold coins on the black market now, the total profit of the shop was about 131,000 alliance dollars in the past 2 hours. This income was definitely terrifying. At the very least, to the current Lorne, such an hourly salary was a dream. Because today was the first day of the opening, there were many curious players, so the turnover was naturally very high. However, in 2 days, with the same amount of resources invested, the sales of the shops would decrease. After all, there were no special products in the shop, so it could not ensure that players could visit for a long time. There was also a problem that gave Lorne a headache. There were too few antidotes. 10,000 bottles a day was not enough to satisfy his needs. Moreover, other shops were also selling this potion, so the price could not be raised. Lorne had to consider buying them at a higher price so that he could earn greater profits through massive sales despite a small profit margin for each potion. For this matter, he specially found Doge. During this period of time, Doge had been busy editing the book. Due to the need to categorize the herbs, the workload was very high. Therefore, after working for several days, Doge still did not complete his work. After hearing Lorne's request, Doge thought about it and decided to give him a larger share of the potions. After all, he was now also a member of the Alchemist Association and was also the manager of the shop. According to the rules of Iron Skull City, Doge could completely increase the target sales amount for him. However, these potions could no longer be sold for 50 bronze coins. The Alchemist Association's output and income also needed to be reviewed by Iron Skull City, so he could not let the funds gap exceed the specified range. Lorne naturally understood this. This time, not only did he not ask for a lower purchase price, but he even offered a price that surprised even Doge. Just like that, after a close discussion between the two, the quantity of the potions in Dragon 1 increased from 10,000 to a shocking million. This was a huge number. After all, this was the daily supply. Under normal circumstances, a shop could apply for between 10,000 to 50,000 potions per day, but Lorne directly made a deal with Doge. As long as Lorne could sell 1 million potions in a day, the maximum number of potions distributed to Dragon 1 would be 1 million. But if not, then everything would stop, and the contract would continue as normal. Without hesitation, Lorne agreed. Of course, in order to obtain such a huge quantity, he naturally lost a large amount of profits per potion. In the beginning, the price of Lorne's antidote was 50 bronze coins, the cost price in the Alchemist Association. Now, because of the need to answer Iron Skull City's call and because of the exception of increasing the order, the price of Lorne's purchase was raised to 95 bronze coins. This was close to the limit of retail sales. Among all the shops in the main city, the price of the antidote was fixed at 1 silver coin, which was 100 bronze coins. In total, Lorne could only make 5 bronze coins per bottle of potion. In addition, other than the transportation cost, the manpower and monthly rent in the shop, and the money to compete with the shop for a lower price, the final profit that could be left to Lorne was only 2 bronze coins per potion. However, with such a huge amount, even if it was only a profit of 1 bronze, the income could reach hundreds of thousands per day. In fact, this was not Lorne's main goal. There was actually a deeper meaning behind his efforts. First of all, the share of the million potions in his hands was actually snatched from the surrounding shops. In other words, in the future, if there were players in the nearby areas, they could only go to Lorne's shop to buy enough potions. This way, the customer flow of the Lorne shop was greatly guaranteed. To him, even if the antidote no longer made money, he could use the customer flow to increase the sales of other products to profit. It was also because of this that Lorne had used the highest price to purchase a terrifying number of potions. After dealing with these matters, Lorne contacted Twinkle Rose and Super Rich. It was not enough to sell 1,000,000 potions alone. After all, the temptation of this mission was limited. A large number of players would not spend time heading to that area. Therefore, Lorne still needed a channel to distribute them. This profitable business was naturally left to the two of them. The total amount of goods that Lorne gave them was 600,000 bottles a day, and the profit after selling was 10%. If he really counted, it was about 120,000 alliance dollars. For 99.9% of people, 120,000 per day was a dreamlike amount. But to a tycoon like Super Rich, 120,000 was probably just his breakfast money. However, he was very concerned about the matters in the game, especially the ones that Lorne had arranged. Not to mention the $120,000, even if there was no income, he would still diligently complete this task. After dealing with these matters, Lorne finally resolved everything regarding the shop. Next, he only needed to provide some equipment. He did not have to worry about the rest. It was getting late, so Lorne opened the system panel. Go offline. He would rest today and help Aisha level up tomorrow. That was a huge mission requiring tens of millions of experience points. It would probably take a long time to complete. Returning to reality, Lorne did not think further. He ordered a sumptuous dinner to reward himself. Then, after washing up, Lorne lay down on the bed. He opened the watch. The next second, a message notification sounded. It was a message from Jessica. Lorne, I've already helped you deal with everything in the high-level energy zone. In the villa I prepared for you, there's the most perfect medical equipment in the world. You can bring your sister there to recuperate. By the way, my sister and I came to the energy zone with father today. We're going to invite Aunt to go to the headquarters together. We'll rest in the small villa next to yours tonight. Why don't you come over later? Lorne's eyes lit up when he saw the information. Ever since the exciting battle with Jessica a few days ago, all the cells in his body had been awakened. Coupled with the fact that he had been busy identifying herbs the past few days, he was really tired. Since Jessica was here, he would indulge himself tonight. With that in mind, Lorne smiled wickedly, wash up tonight and wait for me. Chapter 184, Rich Family. At night, a group of important figures arrived in this low-level energy zone. In the best hotel of the energy zone, countless business figures gathered here and held a grand banquet. Almost all the tycoons in the energy zone had brought their sons here. This was not a simple charity ball. In the banquet hall today, the world's top tycoon, Hoses, was present. In order to see this important figure, all the rich merchants with high statuses rushed in. At the same time, they had heard that Hoses' two daughters would also appear at this party, so they brought their sons with them. hoping to obtain the favor of the two ladies. If such luck really descended, then their family would truly rise to the top and become one of the richest families in the world. Even if they could not gain the favor of the two daughters of Hoses, they wanted to win the heart of the younger sister of the richest man Hoses, the financier of the waltz group, Madame Maeve. This beauty from a rich family was slightly more mature, but her appearance and aura were extraordinary. Furthermore, she had been single all this time. If they could pair up with this Madame Maeve, the final result would be as good. However, the two ladies at the banquet sat alone in a place guarded by more than a dozen bodyguards. The young men had no chance to approach them, much less win their hearts. The young masters of the tycoons all focused their attention on that area, filled with desire. Unfortunately, no matter how much they explained to the bodyguards, they could not get close to the two ladies. In the end, they could only shake their heads and sigh. Sigh, how can the daughter of the richest family in the world like us? That's right. I'm considered rich in this energy zone, but in the eyes of the other party, I'm inferior to an ant. Unfortunately, I can't display my talent, or else I would definitely attract the attention of a princess. As long as I can marry one of the two, it will be equivalent to gaining tens of billions of assets. The group of youngsters all sighed inwardly, enjoying the bitterness of the wine. Unlike the young masters who were sighing outside, the two daughters of the richest families were chatting happily. Sister, is what you said true? The younger sister, Nina, blinked her large eyes and looked at her sister in amazement. From her sister, Nina knew what had happened a few days ago. The story of escaping death had shocked her, but later, after hearing that someone had saved her, she was interested in the young man called Lorne. Especially when she heard that in order to save his sister, Lorne had actually lived in the slums with much difficulty. Although he had used all the savings in his family, he had not given up. Up until today, he had still worked hard for the sake of his sister's life. This attitude alone made Nina curious about him. It was unbelievable that he could still maintain his composure in the face of her sister's wealth. Moreover, her sister had also said that apart from his poor background, this man was ridiculously perfect. Be it appearance or personality, he was impeccable. Hearing these descriptions, Nina was filled with desire for this man called Lorne. If not for the fact that this was a party specially organized for her aunt, she even wanted to see the other party now. Of course. Moreover, I have already helped him prepare the admission permit for the high-level energy zone. In 2 days, he can go to the energy zone where we live. However, we can't let father know about this for the time being, or else he will definitely be very difficult to deal with. Jessica took a sip of her wine, and her beautiful golden eyes could not help but glance at the young people in the hall. All of them were handsome young men in suits. Unfortunately, their greed and frivolity were too disgusting. It was still Lorne's calm and domineering aura that was fascinating. Don't worry, sister. This is a secret between us. I won't tell anyone. Nina widened her eyes and looked at Jessica seriously. Sister, we had an agreement in the past that we would marry the same person in the future. You haven't forgotten about that, have you? I didn't forget. You have to keep your word. If you have a boyfriend, don't forget me. Of course. Not only did Jessica purse her red lips, but her face also could not help but turn slightly red. In her mind, the scene of the three of them fighting had actually appeared. Furthermore, she had actually thought that if she had Nina to share the burden, she would at least be able to withstand that fellow's attack alone. This was a shameful thought. However, Nina's words also reminded her that the two sisters had indeed been inseparable. Their relationship was so intimate that they were almost glued together. Due to the fear that marriage would separate the two of them, the two had made a pact to find a man that both of them liked in the future. In that case, should he really introduce Lorne to Nina? Thinking of this, Jessica fell into deep thought. Brother, what do you think of what happened to Jessica? In the hall, Maeve, in an off-shoulder black evening gown, pulled Hoses to a corner and asked. It should be the Zama's family. They want to see the military leader before us and take the construction order for the Oracle Bone Shield in the high-level energy zone. Fortunately, Jessica is fine. However, I won't let them off. It's time to clean up these rats who like to hide in the sewers. There was no emotion on Jose's face, and his words were very calm. However, if anyone who had come into contact with him were present, their hearts would definitely jump, because if he said that he wanted to clear the other party, then he would definitely take action and achieve his goal. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at where Jessica was and said, "By the way, Jessica was just attacked." She must have been shocked. Recently, I noticed that she has been absent-minded. There's probably something on her mind. I want you to stay with her and help counsel her. All right, big brother. I'll talk to her. Maeve nodded, then went to the sisters. From here, it could be seen that Jessica still looked troubled. That matter had probably affected her greatly, but she was unwilling to say it out loud. It seemed that she needed someone to talk to. Chapter 185, Cooperation of Two Sisters. Late at night, the party ended. After hearing Jessica's suggestion, Joses and the others arrived at the small villa on the edge of the city. Due to the alcohol, Joses had already gone to bed. As for Maeve, she had to take care of the two girls, so she rested in the room next to the sisters. After the two elders fell asleep, subtle sounds came from the sisters' room. "Sister, is he really that strong?" From Jessica, Nina had learned that she and Lorne had had physical contact a few days ago and had done something intimate. Originally, Jessica did not want to say it, but she still wanted to fulfill the promise to her sister, so she did not hide it. After hearing this explosive news, Nina did not have a negative reaction. On the contrary, she was looking forward to meeting Lorne. Because she had heard about Lorne's background and because Jessica had exaggeratedly described him as perfect, she was very satisfied with the other half that her sister had found. "Yes, I couldn't even walk that day. That evil guy was too rough in that aspect." As she spoke, Jessica reflected on how she had felt. For some reason, ever since she had sex with that guy, she had felt so good. She kept thinking about seeing that guy immediately. Fortunately, he had received a response from that guy just now. She believed that she would meet him soon. "Ah!" As Jessica thought this, Nina suddenly cried out. "What's wrong, Nina?" "Sister, didn't you say that you were meeting with Lorne? There are people guarding outside our villa. How will he come in?" Nina's eyes were filled with anxiety. It could be seen that she did not reject Lorne's arrival. On the contrary, she was looking forward to it. But now, there was a problem. Because of the previous attack, their father, Joses, had arranged several bodyguards outside the door. Not to mention people, even flies could not fly in. "Ah, what do we do now, sister?" Nina's eyes were watery and she looked even more nervous than Jessica. "Let's wait a little longer. If there's no other way, let's get up early tomorrow. I'll secretly bring you to find him." Only then did her sister, Jessica, remember what had happened today. If she had known earlier, she would have had an excuse to go out and meet Lorne in his villa. But it was too late. At this time, her father would not let them go out. She had no choice but to lie down on the bed obediently and close her eyes to rest as soon as possible. She hoped that tomorrow would come earlier. Because the two sisters discussed that shameful topic, they were too excited, so the two of them hugged each other tightly, seeking satisfaction. Just like that, it was soon 12 a.m. The two sisters were already half asleep. But at that moment, a faint sound came from the door. "Lorne, are you here?" Nina was obsessed with this matter, so she was not deeply asleep. The moment she heard the sound, she woke up and even sat up immediately, staring at the man who had just entered with large, watery eyes. Seeing the unfamiliar girl, Lorne did not panic at all. Instead, he raised his fingers and gestured for Nina to keep her voice down. Nina nodded quickly, her large eyes studying Lorne excitedly. He was as handsome, as steady, and very capable as his sister had said. After all, this villa was surrounded by so many bodyguards, but he could actually come here quietly without alerting everyone. This ability was simply too outstanding. At that moment, Jessica woke up. The moment she saw Lorne, her eyes were filled with surprise. "How did you get in?" Jessica could not help but ask. "I came in long ago. After you sent me the message, I came in early. I've been hiding nearby." Lorne had already prepared an excuse. In fact, he had not lurked here that early. He had used his invisibility skill to follow them into the building when Jessica returned. As for his reasoning, there was actually a loophole. This was because before he entered, Hoses had sent people to check the villa in advance. If he had been here earlier, he would have been discovered long ago. However, the two sisters were extremely happy. They did not think of this loophole. "What about our conversation?" Jessica looked at him, her face red. Nina was nervous too. Lorne said, "I heard everything. Since you think that I suit both your tastes, I don't mind being together with you too." "Great." Nina was very happy. She was finally going to grow up like her sister. "Shh, lower your voice. Don't wake up the others. Then, let's begin." Since the sisters accepted him together, Lorne naturally did not object. Moreover, as an energetic man, he would not lose to the two women. The two sisters took off their unnecessary clothes and revealed their perfect bodies. Looking at the shy Nina, who had shrunk into the blanket, the corners of Lorne's mouth curled into a sinister smile. This little girl kept screaming. This was not a good habit. He had to let her learn to shut her mouth. Ugh! Nina tried to keep her mouth open, but the evil thing was too big. She felt like she was forced to swallow a light bulb. Her jaw ached. Moreover, she could not breathe. It was as if the thing wanted to block her throat and prevent her from breathing. She tried to hold on for a long time. Just as she felt like she was about to suffocate, the other party finally let her go. Then, Nina lay weakly on the bed sheet under the moonlight, looking like she had been thoroughly toyed with. As for the demon, Lorne, he had already extended his demon claws towards Jessica. She had already done it before, so it would not be so difficult to enter again. With this, the dragon entered the sea. This night was destined to not be a peaceful one. Perhaps because of the game's materialization, Lorne's endurance was beyond imagination. He fought for an entire night and obtained victory in countless battles before finally leaving this hot-blooded battlefield. However, because the battle was too intense, the people next door also had a dream the entire night. Chapter 186, Maeve's Suspicion. The next morning, Maeve woke up groggy. She did not know why, but she had felt a strange voice in her mind last night. She did not know if it was her dream or if the two sisters next door were too noisy at night, but she did not sleep well the entire night. When she came to the living room, she realized that the two sisters were eating breakfast. They were wolfing down their food like workers who had done heavy construction work. They were far from their usual graceful state of chewing slowly. Moreover, the two of them were in very different conditions. Their faces were like flowers that had been watered, beautiful and alluring. However, they looked tired as if they had not slept for the entire night. Seeing this, she asked the two of them suspiciously, "Were the two of you fooling around last night? It felt like you were tearing down a house." Hearing this, the sisters shook their heads. Very seriously, Nina denied, "And, we didn't, we slept very early." Maeve frowned. "Nina, what's wrong with your throat?" She had used it too much last night. After waking up today, Nina's voice was a little hoarse. But they could not let her know about this. Seeing that Nina could not find an excuse, her sister, Jessica, quickly said, it's probably because she ate too much yesterday and hurt her throat. Yes, I ate too much. Nina quickly nodded. Seriously, don't eat so much at once in the future. This is only a low-level energy zone. The quality of the food here is not very good. It's not as safe as the food in the high-level energy zone. Eat less for breakfast. Maeve sat across from Nina and instructed her earnestly. Nina quickly asked her sister for help. Jessica quickly stood up and said, "Aunt, let me help you get a sandwich." This was a ploy to change the subject, but to Jessica's surprise, as soon as she rose, she felt soreness from her muscles. After the intense workout last night, she had yet to recover. This detail was immediately captured by Maeve. "Jessica, what happened to your leg?" "It's okay, Aunt. My legs are numb from sitting for too long. I'll be fine in a while." Maeve looked at her and frowned. She had a feeling the sisters were different today. They looked strange. Just like that, the three of them quickly finished breakfast. In order to avoid Maeve, Jessica and Nina found an excuse to go out and see the scenery. Maeve still felt something was wrong, so she went to the sisters' room curiously. When she entered the room, she actually smelled a strange smell. Having never experienced such a thing, Maeve had no idea what it was. However, she was curious about the source of the smell. Maeve could not help but look around. When she looked under the bed, her pupils constricted. Heavens! How could there be such a thing here? There was a used condom in Maeve's vision. Could it be that last night? Although Maeve had never experienced such a thing, she knew about condoms. Now that such a thing had appeared in this room, did that mean the two girls had done that? Impossible, impossible, definitely impossible. Shocked, Maeve quickly rejected her idea. This was because when they were preparing to move in, this place had already been checked. In other words, there was no one else here last night. Moreover, there were more than a dozen bodyguards guarding outside the villa. It was impossible for anyone to enter. Therefore, this should have been left behind by the previous owner of this house. After all, this villa had only been recently bought as a temporary rest area. Moreover, it was a house in a low-level energy zone. It was normal for it to be this dirty. In another villa, Lorne had expended a lot of energy yesterday, so he slept until noon today. After he woke up, he learned from the information that Jessica and the others had already left. Lorne did not feel any pity. After all, he would be heading to the high-level energy zone in a few days. At that time, he would be able to meet the sisters often. It had to be said that the daughter of the richest family was indeed unforgettable, especially to a young man like Lorne. But now was not the time. Yesterday, he had just finished dealing with the business at the shop. After going online today, he would begin leveling up Aisha. Moreover, he had to obtain information about the gnomes. If time permitted, he wanted to go to the gnomes. While thinking, Lorne arrived at a high-level restaurant and happily ate a delicious meal. While he was eating, a few business executives in suits were discussing the topic of Divine Realm. "Our company is also preparing to invest in the Divine Realm. Yes, the market is too saturated in reality. We have to enter a new market to find a chance of survival. In the end, it's all because of boss's poor judgment. If not for that player called Tyrant earning tens of millions, he would not have made this decision. I also did not expect that Tyrant would have his own shop so early. Moreover, I heard that the sales of that shop yesterday reached $50.55 million. More than 50 million? Wow, the profit is probably more than 10 million at least. It's even more profitable than an excellent medium-sized enterprise. This is nothing. I heard that a corporation wants to invest in his shop. It seems that they want to invest $500 million, and they only want 30% of the shares. Gosh! Doesn't this mean that this shop's market value has reached 1.5 billion? This Tyrant has really made a killing. He became rich overnight. A group of professional executives who were still working in the company were also attracted by the income of $10 million. They chatted happily and excitedly. However, at the end of the topic, someone else broke the news. Have you heard? Someone is offering a reward to find out Tyrant's real identity. The price seems to be 10 million Alliance dollars. An identity is so valuable. Perhaps someone doesn't want Tyrant to live. His game progress is too fast for others, and he has snatched the profits of the big shots. I think it was the World Destruction Guild who did it. I heard they have an illegal background and were cheated by Tyrant yesterday. With their temper, they will definitely not let Tyrant go. Who knows? There are so many benefits involved. I can understand if anything happens. Hearing their conversation, Lorne became more wary. Although he and Jessica were close enough, he had to hide his identity in the game. No matter what, he could not put himself in danger. In addition, when he had time, he could also inquire about the information about the World Destruction Guild. When the strength he materialized in the future was stronger, he had to let these guys know the consequences of angering him. Chapter 187, Acquisition Mission. Login. In the small villa, Lorne put on his game helmet and entered the game. With a flash of light, he reappeared in Iron Skull City. Ding! The turnover of your shop, Dragon 1, was 14,358.46 gold coins yesterday. The daily expenses were 13,640.54 gold coins, meaning a total profit of 717.92 gold coins. The moment Lorne entered the game, information regarding the shop's earnings appeared in front of him. It could be seen that ever since they bought the million antidotes yesterday, the sales of the shop had instantly reached a terrifying height. In Alliance dollars, it was equivalent to more than 40 million in total revenue, which was on the same level as the business level of a medium-sized corporation. This was only a gaming shop that was less than 200 square meters. The profits it brought were so terrifying. Even after deducting the cost of yesterday, Lorne still earned 2.15 million Alliance dollars. In that case, it would be $64.5 million a month, and $770 million a year. However, to the current Lorne, this income was not enough. He had to obtain more gold coins as soon as possible. To him, the money earned from a shop was only a small amount. The true source of income should be the future cold desolate Dragon City. As long as he could repair the cold desolate Dragon City, he could obtain countless shops that belonged to him. Moreover, he could also obtain his own alchemist association. At that time, he would become a top tycoon in the game and in reality, standing at the top of the two worlds. Very good. I'll go find bars now. Lorne arrived at the Blacksmith Guild. This was also one of the largest businesses in Iron Skull City. He had to create such an organization in the future. When he entered the Blacksmith Guild, he immediately saw the blacksmiths working with all their might. They seemed to be in a much more fervent state than they had been in the past few days. President Bars, has there been a war recently? Lorne found Bars and asked him. Yes, adventurer. Bars was reading the report in front of him. When he saw Lorne, he immediately smiled and greeted him. He had already learned from Doge that this adventurer did not only rely on the favor of the Dragon of Light to reach this stage, what he truly relied on was his talent. Although he was still young, he had wisdom that even Doge admired. A genius like him naturally had to be respected enough. He might have to rely on him in the future. Lord Haymet, the Dragon of Light, discovered that a dark follower had fumbled his way into the ruins of the war. After Iron Skull City knew of the situation, it immediately organized an army to leave the southern front and go to the ruins of the war to eliminate the undead that caused trouble there. At this point, Bars looked disconsolate, as if he were in trouble. Lorne's eyes lit up, and he immediately asked, President, have you encountered a problem? That's right. Bars smiled bitterly and said, I just received a new notification from Iron Skull City. Due to the urgent situation in the ruins of the war, the army that rushed over from the southern defense line chose to travel quickly in light equipment. They did not carry most heavy weapons, especially magic cannons. This kind of thing needs high-grade ores to refine enough rare materials to forge. Our guild does not have that many resources for the time being. In the divine realm, surveying ore veins was a relatively difficult thing, especially high-grade ore veins. That kind of place was filled with high-level monsters. It was difficult to even enter normally, much less mine in large quantities. Coupled with the fact that Iron Skull City was at war all year round, the consumption of mineral resources was very huge. This led to the Blacksmith Guild needing to purchase resources from other main cities. But it was too late to transport them now. Bars had to deliver the equipment within a few days, which posed a huge problem for him. President Bars, I heard that the gnomes like to hoard ores. Perhaps you can borrow a batch of resources temporarily from them. As he was about to find the gnomes, he wanted to find out more. I've thought about it, but it doesn't work. Bars shook his head and said helplessly, the gnomes do have relevant ores and have stored a lot, but they strictly control such resources. Without a good enough friendship and reason, there's no way to transport any ore from them. Guild leader, I'm the adventurer that the dragon god values the most and have some understanding of mechanical knowledge. Why don't you let me go to the gnomes and negotiate with them? Lorne immediately took the initiative to apply. He had the treasure-seeking skill and could detect the location of the mine. As for the gnomes' robots, even if he could not obtain the ore from the gnomes, he could mine them himself. At that time, he would definitely make a killing. Bars did not know what to say. This young man did not seem to know his place. Other than the gnomes who had been studying machinery for thousands of years, no one else could master such a thing. But, despite his thoughts, Bars agreed. Because he had no better solution, he could only let this genius adventurer give it a try. There might be a surprise. The gnomes admire the dragon god very much. With the angel's wings, you might really be able to persuade those stubborn fellows. As for the price of the ores, the highest price I can give you is 5 gold coins per unit. I hope the final ore will not be less than 10,000 units. Bars offered a high price for Lorne without much expectations. The ores that the Blacksmith Guild needed were at least 100,000 units of ores. Only with so many ores could they have enough magic cannons in the army. However, thinking of the difficulty of the mission, Bars did not want to give the young man too much pressure, so he reduced the requirements a lot. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the mission, purchase of high-grade ores. Mission description: head to the Gnome tribe and help the Blacksmith Guild purchase enough high-grade ores. The highest price for this purchase is 5 gold coins and the quantity is between 10,000 to 100,000 units. Prompt: the amount of ores you purchase will directly affect the final reward of the mission. Very good, the mission was obtained. Of course, this mission was not important. Most importantly, he had obtained the coordinates of the Gnome tribe and had obtained the right to use the teleportation circle because he was handling official business. This was great. Without hesitation, Lorne arrived at the teleportation array leading to the gnomes. With a flash of light, he vanished. Chapter 188, Gnome Mineral Company. Ding! You have entered the neutral map Gnome Mountain Range. But when Lorne regained his vision, he found himself in a mountain range covered in rocky hills. From the map, this place belonged to the west of Iron Skull City. It was about the same distance as the Lake of Death. If he wanted to travel on foot, it would take at least 3 to 5 days. Lorne changed the map of Iron Skull City to the Gnome Mountain Range, so that he could roughly understand the situation in this area. From the regional map, it could be seen that there was a main city mark on it. It was a city built by the gnomes, and it was also Lorne's goal this time. It seems that there are not many people in this gnome tribe. Lorne checked the range of the gnome city and found that it was only the size of a small town. It was countless times larger than Iron Skull City and was only a third the size of the cold desolate Dragon City. As for the distance between it and Lorne, it would take a few hours. Without thinking, he set off. On the way, Lorne moved quickly, almost several times faster than ordinary players. This was all thanks to the high agility attribute that gave him high movement speed. There was a 30% increase in speed given by the divine equipment, and his bloodline provided a 20% increase in speed. Coupled with the addition of entering stealth mode and plus 30% movement speed, he had a consistent buff of extra 80% in movement speed. In addition, the effect of invisibility was very good. As long as the level of the monster was not above level 50, it was basically impossible to detect him. The only drawback was that it required MP. Fortunately, Lorne could summon Rimuru. Its skill could recover MP and was very efficient. We're finally here. After traveling through the mountain range for 2 hours, Lorne finally arrived at a plain. It was the only plain in the mountain range, suitable for building a city. To Lorne's shock, it was the appearance of the building. He thought that as a race that liked ores, the gnomes would definitely build a main city filled with rocks. But only then did he realize that he was wrong. The city of the gnomes was not a simple rock city, but a very exquisite modern city with metal pipes everywhere. Lorne almost thought that he had returned to the real world. This mechanical smell that belonged to the steampunk style was too unique in this world. While he was stunned, an old gnome walked past the city gate. When he noticed the human adventurer, he immediately walked over and sized him up. Strange, such a weak human adventurer actually has such a thick aura of light on him. It shouldn't be. The old gnome frowned, lowered his head, and pondered. Then, he looked at Lorne again. Young human adventurer, why have you come to the Gnome Mineral Company? What? Company? Lorne almost could not react to the term. As a sword and magic game world, the sudden appearance of steampunk mechanical equipment and the modern term company was a little shocking to the player's memory. I came to buy items. I heard that the gnomes have many special mechanical products. Lorne did not directly explain his intentions. The gnomes did not have a high affinity with Iron Skull City. If not for the pressure from the Dark Abyss, they would not have formed an alliance with Iron Skull City. You're here to buy products. The old gnome seemed to have heard the funniest thing in the world. Such a person who was not even at the Earth realm actually dared to say that he came to the gnomes to buy products. It was really interesting. Although the old gnome really looked down on the adventurer in front of him, he did not hesitate after noticing the light aura on him. Instead, he politely invited Lorne into the Steel City. It could be seen that this city indeed had very excellent mechanical technology. Metal pipes and mechanical equipment could be seen everywhere. However, unlike energy in reality, the machines in this world used magic energy. This was also the most intelligent aspect of the gnomes. They used magic scrolls to inscribe magic circles in mechanical equipment, so that energy crystals could provide the corresponding energy for these industrial equipment. It was unbelievable. Lorne was very interested in these things, his eyes focused on the steel beasts. Seeing that the product he created was appreciated, the old gnome's opinion of Lorne changed greatly. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the affinity of the NPC Tully. Affinity plus 100. Excellent, he obtained affinity the moment they met. It seemed that it was not so difficult to communicate with the gnomes. Lorne immediately looked at the other party and said, Senior, I have an important order that I need to discuss with the ones in charge of your company. Can you help me notify them? Mr. Tyrant, I'm a high-level manager of the Gnome Mineral Company. I'm in charge of all the businesses in the Iron Skull City branch. You can tell me what product you want. The old gnome friendly led Lorne to the living room. The gnome assistant brought over the product information booklet of the gnome company immediately. When he took the letter, Lorne realized that there was an additional option on his interface beginner gnome shop. After opening it, all the products of the gnome company appeared on the interface. Category: Material. Ordinary wood, price, 1 silver coin per unit. Ordinary rock, price, 1 silver coin per unit. Ordinary steel, price, 5 silver coins per unit. Ordinary crystal, price, 10 silver coins per unit. Category, equipment. Ordinary logging machine, price, 10 gold coins per machine. Ordinary stone picking machine, price, 15 gold coins per machine. Ordinary exploration machine, price, 20 gold coins per machine. Category. 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 It could be seen that there were many basic materials and equipment on the list, but because it was a low-level shop, the equipment's function was very ordinary, and the quality of the materials was also the most ordinary. These things were clearly not part of Lorne's plan. However, from these ordinary products, it could be seen that the gnomes had deep control over machinery. The legendary ore mining robots were definitely not baseless. But the only problem now was that to check higher level shops, one had to have enough affinity and wealth to unlock them. This was a huge problem, because Lorne did not have that much money on him for the time being. Chapter 189, Mining Robot. Seeing that Lorne was not tempted, the gnome shop manager, Tully, asked, "What's wrong, Mr. Tyrant? Are you not satisfied with these products?" "Yes." Lorne nodded, "These things are too ordinary. I want to check more precious products. Can you help me unlock the higher access rights?" "This is against the rules." Tully shook his head, but then smiled. "However, I would like to ask, Mr. Tyrant, how did you obtain the aura of light? It does not seem to be the simple power of light." "Aura of light? Since you are asking about it, I will show you the power of the Holy Angel." Lorne directly used Angel's Descent. Holy light blossomed, and a pair of holy light wings appeared behind him. This is... Just like when Bars had seen this scene, Tully was also stunned. He froze on the spot, extremely shocked. When he recovered, Tully immediately said respectfully, "I didn't expect you to obtain the angel's inheritance at such a young age. No wonder you have such a rich aura of light. In that case, let me help you unlock the highest authority. Although this is not in line with the rules, I'm willing to believe in the judgment of the dragon god." An adventurer who had not even reached the earth realm had actually inherited the power of an angel. From this, it could be seen how much the dragon god valued him. Tully was a businessman, so how could he not know what this meant? Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the gnome reputation, reputation plus 10,000. Congratulations on obtaining the affinity of the NPC Tully. Affinity plus 1000. Congratulations on reaching friend affinity with Tully. A series of notifications appeared. Lorne did not expect the other party to be so generous. He gained 1000 personal affinity points and 10,000 gnome reputation points. Not only that, but the shop information in front of him had also been directly promoted to the highest level. With this authority, he could check all the products sold by the gnomes. Indeed, the reputation of the Dragon of Light was still useful. Overjoyed, Lorne quickly checked. There were a large number of mineral veins near the region where the cold desolate Dragon City was located. Moreover, many high-grade mineral veins required people with high-grade mining skills to mine them. It just so happened that the gnomes had such robots for sale. However, when Lorne checked the item's information, he was dumbfounded. High-grade mining robot. Price, not for sale. Introduction, a magic robot developed by the Mechanical Research Department of the Gnomes. It has a body constructed from precise machinery. It can be provided with the ability of magic crystal to allow it to move. It can conduct ore mining in the harsh underground environment. If he only talked about its function, then this robot was completely in line with Lorne's idea. Moreover, it had high-grade ore extraction technology. If he could buy it, he could immediately bring these robots to the Lake of Death and let them start work as soon as possible to accumulate funds. However, the problem was that this robot was not for sale. Wasn't this making things difficult for him? Manager Tully, I hope to purchase your company's high-level mining robots. I will pay you a sufficient price. Lorne stated his thoughts. This mining robot was an equipment that he urgently needed. Otherwise, without high-level miners, the mineral veins buried in the ruins of the war would not have been able to be mined. If he could not mine the ores, he would not have money to repair the cold, desolate Dragon City or to build his own territory. The loss was too great. Adventurer, the Gnomes mining robots are the highest grade items that are not for sale. Even the Duke of Iron Skull City will not be able to purchase them. Unless you have the rarest and most precious dragon crystal. Tully smiled and shook his head. In his eyes, this adventurer might really be a genius of Iron Skull City, but he could not have something as rare as the dragon crystal. Is that what you're talking about? Lorne took out a palm-sized crystal gem from his bag. It was pure and sparkling. My God, you really have a dragon crystal. Tully immediately jumped up from his seat and leaned forward to carefully examine the gem. After confirming repeatedly, a shocking light immediately burst from his eyes, causing him to fall into a state of ecstasy. This was a real dragon crystal. With such a gem, they could trade with dragons. One had to know that the rare materials in this world were all in extremely dangerous places, and dragons were the only existence that could enter such dangerous areas at will. If they needed materials that all races could not find, they had to find the dragons. Their treasure vaults contained anything one could possibly imagine. After the shock, Tully reluctantly retracted his gaze and said, Adventurer, this dragon crystal fragment of yours is indeed expensive, but it's still not enough to purchase a mining robot. If you want to break the rules to purchase the mining robots, you must take out the complete dragon crystal. Moreover, a complete dragon crystal can only purchase 10 high-level mining robots. If you have found a high-level mineral vein, just 10 mining robots will not be enough. Therefore, I suggest that you cooperate with our company and develop together. We can earn the most benefits for you in the shortest time possible. Of course, if you only represent Iron Skull City or the Dragon God, you can ignore my suggestion. Damn, how cunning! Tully and Lorne had only just met, but he could analyze everything from these actions. Such business sense was ridiculous. He had to admit that the other party was right. Lorne indeed needed to pool a large amount of funds in a short period of time, so he was very concerned about the suggestion from Tully. Because the players' subclass system had just been released, it was impossible to mine through hiring the players in the short term. At the very least, medium and high-level ores were too much for them. In addition, he could not cooperate with the Iron Skull City. After all, the ruins of the war was under their jurisdiction. If they mined there, why would they divide the profits with him? Therefore, there was only one path for Lorne, and that was to cooperate with the Gnomes. Chapter 190, Recruiting the Gnomes. I discovered the mine myself, so I have no reason to share the profits with you, right? Lorne was not in a hurry to agree. At this moment, he had to ask for more benefits. Otherwise, wouldn't it be foolish to give others a bigger share? Of course there's a reason. Hearing that Lorne was the one who had discovered the mineral vein, Tully was even more excited. Adventurer, if you cooperate with us, our Gnome Mineral Company will provide all the equipment needed to mine the vein. Don't underestimate the logistical scale here. In order to mine an ore vein, apart from having your own mining workers, you also need to deal with important matters such as transportation, security, and logistics. Especially security. I believe you know that there are terrifying monsters around the high-level mine. To mine in such an area, we need to pay attention to security. If the defense is not in time, those high-level mining workers might be destroyed overnight. This will definitely be a huge loss for you. In addition, there are many changes in the direction of the underground mine. During the mining process, we need to keep surveying to ensure that the mining direction is correct. There's also the separation of the ores. The resources in any mine are different. If we work hard, the value of the mine can be maximized. Just dealing with these matters, you need to invest at least 5 complete dragon crystals to complete it. Moreover, the scale of the mining team will not be too large, only about a dozen or so mining workers. This efficiency is too low. It's far inferior to the benefits of our cooperation in mining. After explaining a pile of things, Tully took out the blueprint of the Gnome Mineral Company's construction team and said, "Look, our company's mining team is definitely the top in the world. Moreover, we will decide to send our team according to the quality of the mineral vein. If it's a high-level mineral vein, we will send a high-level mining team and provide protection the entire time. Any problems that happen during the cooperation will be borne by us." What about the revenue split? Lorne was also worried about the monsters in the Lake of Death. If there was a conflict when mining, as the mine owner, he could not deal with those terrifying high-level monsters. You can choose it yourself. From 10% to 90%, you can choose whatever you want. The higher the percentage you give us, the higher our efficiency and involvement. You should understand that. Of course. Lorne nodded. The more they earned, the harder they would work. This was common around the world. As for which option to choose, Lorne had a plan. "Manager Tully, I can take just 50% of the profits, but I have a request." "What request?" Tully suppressed the excitement in his heart and calmly asked, "As a businessman, how can I not know that the price is equivalent to the benefits?" This adventurer definitely had extraordinary conditions. "In the future, I will build my territory. I want you and all the gnomes in your Gnome Mineral Company to join me." "What? You want us to betray the company?" Tully thought he had misheard. Did this young man not know that nearly 50% of the gnomes were members of the Gnome Mineral Company? It was the greatest symbol of the Gnome Kingdom. Although it was not involved in political matters, it had such a noble status. However, a human like him actually wanted them to leave? What a joke! "It's not betrayal, it's choosing a better future," Lorne said. "Mr. Tyrant, I don't understand where your confidence comes from. I also don't know what future you can give us. I'm sorry. What if I can let you research the Kingdom of the Dragon?" Before Tully could respond, Lorne placed a portion of the construction map of the cold, desolate Dragon City in front of him. Then, Tully's expression changed. "This? How is this possible? Why do you have the blueprint for the Kingdom of the Dragon? This is an incredible building personally designed by the first dragon god." Tully's voice was trembling. Although he only glanced at the blueprint, he could still see the marvel of it. This map was only the tip of the iceberg of the entire Kingdom of the Dragon, but it contained an extremely profound layout and design concept. To the gnomes, the Kingdom of the Dragon was a legend and the most revered divine item in their history. In the capital of the Gnome Kingdom, there were a few memory blueprints regarding the Kingdom of the Dragon. The mysteries within made the wise ones of the entire Gnome Kingdom study them for thousands of years. Even until today, they could still benefit from them. From this, it was obvious what the Kingdom of the Dragon meant to the gnomes. "If you are willing to join my territory, you will see the complete blueprint. Moreover, you can study it for as long as you want." "Really?" "Of course." Lorne could not understand it himself. He had to hand it to the architects in the future, so it was completely feasible to use it to rope in talents. Hearing this, Tully was indeed tempted. Even the way he looked at Lorne changed greatly. Although this adventurer was so young, he could obtain the recognition of the Dragon God and had a complete map of the Dragon Kingdom. His future was definitely filled with infinite possibilities. Following him might really be a good future. Thinking of this, Tully nodded and said, "All right, I accept your invitation. If there really comes a day, I'm willing to join your territory and hope that you can follow our agreement today." Of course. At this point, the two officially reached an agreement. Then, they began to discuss some details, such as the requirements for mining, the location, and other things to take note of. Most importantly, there were too many mines. Lorne spent more time thinking about this. He did not hand over all the coordinates of the various mines he found. He only planned to let the Gnome Mineral Company help him mine a portion of them. This number accounted for about 1/5 of the total coordinates. There were exactly 100 coordinates. However, most of them were ordinary ores. There were only 16 medium-level and 4 high-level ore mines. Lorne did not want to give too many benefits to the Gnome Mineral Company. He only needed to use this money to repair the cold desolate Dragon City and then let Tully bring others to join the cold desolate Dragon City. In this way, he would directly have his own mining team. Moreover, the gnomes had the ability to design powerful defensive equipment that could supplement the lack of weapons in the Dragon City.